Well, hey everyone, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, and I know what you're thinking, this isn't the weekend, why is he putting this out later? Well, it's because I wanted to talk about Criterion a little bit, but I was able to watch some Westerns last weekend when I'm putting this up, of course, and I'm continuing with my weekend Western double feature that I've been watching for the month of February, where I've been watching two Westerns that are new and enjoying the ride as I get along with this. So this is going to be the third of the four, so there's one more video that I'll be doing of Westerns for the weekend, and I hope you've been enjoying this ride as well and been watching some Westerns yourself and some exploring some new films on your shelf, or some new films that you're watching via streaming or whatever. I just hope you're enjoying some new movies. But first film I want to talk about is one that is from 2017, so it didn't happen too long ago, and is directed by Scott Cooper, who I've seen a few things. Antlers, I think, is the most recent movie that I watched from him, and I've also seen Crazy Heart. So he's got a mixed bag of films, but this is a movie that I wasn't able to watch in theaters when it came out, and I'm talking about Hostiles right here with Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, and Wes Studi. And this is a really great Western. I actually really enjoyed this movie. It is a film, I guess, set in the 1890s, early 1890s, I believe. And we have a captain played by Christian Bale, who is a legendary captain who is really adamant in eradicating Native Americans, and especially the Cheyenne as well, which is, we have Wes Studi's character, who is a chief that he defeated a few years ago, finally being released from prison and being sent off to the Dakotas because he's dying. And the President of the United States and his commanding officers are telling him he has to do this, and he hates them to the core. And so you get that little bit of a conflict. But Rosamund Pike is also in this film. She is, along with her family, I think at the very beginning of the film, actually, it sets the whole stage. Their whole family, her family gets slaughtered by Apaches, actually, and these Apaches just slaughter her entire family, and she barely escapes, and she just kind of goes mad. But she eventually runs into the party that is delivering the chief up to the Dakotas. So anyway, really great film. I actually quite enjoyed this. I think Christian Bale I think everyone in this film, it does a really great job of striking the idea of, like, these are all really despicable people, and especially Christian Bale and the things he's done. It's kind of crazy how you can get a little bit behind him later on. It's still unforgivable for what he's done, but other than that, I think this is a really gorgeously shot film, really well acted by all three of these main characters as well. There's also quite a bit of other people who just kind of pop in and out, and Ben Foster's in this film, which I really enjoy. We also have Jesse Plemons, who plays a big role in this as well. I think Jesse Plemons just has, I think he's just friends with the director, Scott Cooper, and so he's in a lot of his films. Adam Beach is in it, Rory Cochrane, and also Timothée Chalamet is in this as well early on. And yeah, it's a really beautiful Western. I really enjoyed this film. It's very violent. It's a very violent film, and it's very visceral in the depiction of what goes on. There's scalping. There's a lot of gunfire, and a lot of a little bit of massacres and mayhem going on in this movie. But regardless, I really enjoyed this film, and I'm glad that I was able to see it. I'm just kind of bummed that I was not able to see it in theaters. But Hostiles, if you haven't seen this one, it's a really great kind of modern Western of sorts, and certainly worth your time. All right, and moving on, or moving backwards, I suppose, to 1946, to a film from John Ford, and is starring Henry Fonda, is My Darling Clementine. And I have the Criterion right here. This is by number 732. This is a classic film from John Ford. Like I said, 1946 is when this happened. And this is really just talking about Wyatt Earp, right, and Doc Holliday. So you've seen this plenty of times, I'm sure, if you know all about Westerns and the various iterations of this. Actually, I think I'm going to preview next week. I'm going to probably watch Gunfight at OK Corral as one of the films I need to watch, which is another Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday story. But Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, the movie, etc. You've seen these guys before, even in Deadwood, the show. But I really enjoyed Henry Fonda as Wyatt Earp, as character, and this film is interesting because it really did focus more on the relationships between Clementine and Wyatt Earp, Earp's character, and also Doc Holliday's character in particular, and then that love interest. But there's also an interesting relationship between Doc Holliday and his lover Chihuahua, which is an interesting name. When I first heard it, I was like, wait, is that her name is the dog? Interesting. But anyway, I really like that dynamic. It really does focus a lot more on that relationship dynamic, and him coming into town and more or less becoming this person who's the lawman who wants to just try to get things together. And there's some misunderstandings that happen in Tombstone, and this disc actually kind of explores some of that in the special features. There's actually an interview with Western historian Andrew C. Eisenberg about the real Wyatt Earp, and talks a lot about what happened actually with that character, that person in real life, and really just kind of showcases how some of the people involved in that in real life lost their lives and how that all went down. So it's a really great feature. But yeah, this is a gorgeous film. John Ford is at the top of his game. He's riding pretty high from a few years prior. He did Stagecoach with John Wayne, and I'm just excited that I'm exploring some older westerns. This is not necessarily my favorite of the Wyatt Earp stories that I have seen, but is certainly one of the ones that just puts a smile on my face in the sense of a classic western, and I really enjoy that. It definitely has some rich characters and some characters that you feel a little bit for, and I love Henry Fonda right there just rocking in a chair. I think it's just the coolest look, and I definitely abide by that, and I think that's something he does several times in the movie that it tickles me. I like it a lot. But yeah, I watched My Darling Clementine, and I also watched Hostiles, and this was another of my weekend western double feature that I enjoyed. What about you? What have you been watching for the weekend? I want to know your thoughts on these two movies, if you've seen them, and if you enjoyed them or not. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section down below. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Share, hit the notification bell, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.